Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and welcome to this week's episode of Phone Dog Live, the podcast. We're streaming live on Ustream. If you're here, welcome. Thanks for watching. Also available on YouTube. If you're watching that, thanks also for watching. And we have a pretty good show, and I feel like I'm about to sneeze, but I'm not sure if it's actually going to happen. I was sitting here watching the intro play out on the video, and I felt like I was going to sneeze, and I was like, that would really suck if I came on live and I just sneezed right away. So I think I'm going to be okay. But we do have a really great show. Obviously, Google owned the news this week. BlackBerry had some good. RIM had some news, but it wasn't exactly good news. It was actually horrible news. We'll see if we can get to that, but we are going to start with Google. The Nexus 7 was announced. Android 4.1 was announced. Google Glasses was not announced because we already knew about it, but it was, they showed it off. Nexus Q was also announced, but the big things. The big thing is a Nexus 7, and Android 4.1 is kind of related to that. So we're gonna just talk about both of them at the same time, kind of. That's my phone. Review of the Nexus 7 up on PhoneDog.com right now, as well as if you want to watch hands-on and the unboxing video, you can watch those. But I assume the review is really what you want to see. So the Nexus 7, this is a pretty awesome tablet. I mean, aside from the fact that it's the first Nexus tablet, which is kind of already a big deal because the Nexus phones are really popular because, one, they ship with the latest version of Android. They're typically the first ones, if not, always the first ones to get whatever update it is that comes out. And it's a stock experience. And so they're not always the best phones. I think we can kind of agree on that. The Nexus 1, I think that was the exception. The Nexus 1 was hands down the best phone when it came out. But the Nexus S, the Galaxy Nexus, top of the line phones, but personally I wouldn't really say they're the best phones. But really what it is that you get a stock experience and it's the latest version. You're always going to get updates at least for a year and a half. So to have that in a tablet form is just even better, especially considering the price, $200. But first of all, a 7-inch display. It's an HD display, which is pretty cool. Quad-core Tegra 3 processor. You've got it is made by ASUS. Again, Android 4.1. It has a front-facing camera, no rear-facing camera. It also comes with $25 free Google Play credit and Transformers 3. Just in case you wanted to see that one again. It also comes with that. You can get it with 8 gigabytes or 16 gigabytes of memory for $200 or $249. You can pre-order it now, and it will be shipping sometime in mid-July, which is next month. Right, I was thinking, this isn't July. Sunday is July 1st. I should know because that's when NBA free agency starts. And anyway, but we're not going to talk about sports. So, but the kicker here is just the price, $200. And when you think about other tablets in that price range, Acer has a couple of tablets in that price range. You've got some crappy tablets in that price range that no one really talks about. But the big one is the Kindle Fire, which I actually happen to have right here. The Kindle Fire was kind of the first tablet that was really affordable. It was $200. But, with that, you kind of had to take some concessions, and kind of accept that it wasn't going to be, whoops, I'm sorry, that probably made a really loud sound that I apologize for. With that price tag, you kind of had to take some concessions. You're like, okay, it doesn't have the best display. It's a 7-inch display, so it's kind of small. Dual-core processor, but, maybe not the best, and, performance wasn't excellent. I talked about that in the review. It is laggy pretty much all the way around. Android, but you're getting a custom version of Android, so it's, updates, probably not going to get any updates. There was some things you're going to have to accept, but you're like, okay, it's only $200, so, I'll deal with it. The Nexus 7 no really, not really a whole lot that you have to concede in terms of features that you have to let go of. $200 and you still get a quad core processor, you still get a display, an HD display, you still get a stock version of Android. It's not some custom version, so it's full Android with a full Google Play Store. That's another thing about the Kindle Fire, was that you only get the Amazon App Store. It's not full Android, so you're kind of limited to just like books and web browsing and movies and really even then only from Amazon. But with the Nexus 7, it's everything Android that you get on. I mean, you get exactly the same features on this $200 tablet that you get on, the $800 Zoom or something. I mean, it's really feature-wise, it's pretty great. So for the price, bottom line, the best tablet it's one of the best tablets on the market, but for the price, it is the best tablet. Absolutely kills the Kindle Fire. I don't know about the Kindle Fire 2. I don't know. We don't really know what that one's going to be like. But this is a great deal. And, Aaron has his review up, and I can tell you the tablet is great. Getting into some of the features that Google announced with Jelly Bean Android 4.1, one of the first things that they talked about was Project Butter, which is really kind of funny that they called it Project Butter, like it's this high priority, top secret thing, when in reality it's something that like pretty much every other software maker has been doing ever since the beginning, like iOS, Windows Phone, even WebOS. Having a smooth experience, actually kind of a simple thing, not really one of those things that you're like, all right, let's buckle down and work on this. But for Android, it is a big deal, and the Nexus 7, and even using Android 4.1 on the Galaxy Nexus, because it's been leaked for that, so you can actually download it if you have the Galaxy Nexus, it is extremely smooth. And you think about it, we've talked about the Galaxy S3, how it's instantaneous. Everything, it happens, it's smooth, perfect, no lag. So you're thinking, like, how could it possibly be better than that? But there's actually videos, if you compare the Galaxy S3 to the Galaxy Nexus running Android 4.1 or the Nexus 7, it actually is a little bit faster. And that's not saying that the Galaxy S3 is now laggy all of a sudden, because it's not. It's still seamless. But it's just surprising how just even that much better Android 4.1 is. Like, that's how much Google has worked on this, that Android 4.1 is even more smooth than the best phone experience on the market right now. So it's actually saying a lot. Everything is instantaneous, and even the transitions are perfectly smooth. They've actually changed the transitions a little bit. Actually, I don't know if they changed them or it's just now it's actually smooth so you can actually see them, but they're very smooth. You can see them. It just adds to the whole experience, and that's kind of one thing that I've talked about in the past with Android. It's all about the experience for a lot of people, and that was one thing that Google kind of missed, didn't really catch on to. Android was great. It had all of the features. Feature-wise, it could beat iOS hands down. I think, obviously, if you prefer iOS, then that's what you like. No one can knock that. But you had widgets, which are very useful. You had multitasking, a great feature to have. Notifications were better until iOS added that. But it had so many features that it was just one of the best operating systems. It's not the best operating system, but the thing that Google just couldn't figure out was it's all about the experience. For all of those amazing features that Android had, for some reason people still preferred iOS, and the reason was that it was smooth. There was no lag. The experience was great. Maybe I'm giving up this feature, but hey, if I can have a smooth performance and not have to deal with lag, it's totally worth it. And so now Google is finally starting to figure that out, that experience matters, design matters, all of these things matter. And so, this Project Butter, it may seem like, okay, well, the Galaxy S3, it's so fast. The 1X, it's so fast. Does it really matter? It does matter. If you can make it that much faster and that much more smooth, it does matter. Scrolling in the web browser it just zips around, transitions, opening, scrolling through in the app drawer. I heard one editor say, it doesn't, when you watch it on camera, like it doesn't seem that much faster or even faster at all. He said, but you just have to use it. You have to use it. It's almost like it knows what you're going to do before you're going to do it because it's so fast. And so that, just making it that much faster, it really does matter. And Aaron has also talked about the fonts with Ice Cream Sandwich. They really figured that out using prettier fonts, making it look. They kind of have this new Metro design, which I really love. I mean, which makes sense because I like Windows Phone. You guys know that. So the Metro design, the Metro UI in Windows Phone I love. And so now that Google is starting to use that, I love it. I think it looks great. So Project Butter is huge with Android 4.1. And in the Nexus 7, it really shows it off. It zips around. I mean, everything is just super fast. Moving icons and widgets now, if you're adding a new icon or a new widget, the other icons or widgets will move around to kind of form around it to create a spot for it. There's a couple of improvements with the camera app. Google took a couple of cues from Windows Phone in that you can now, after you take a picture, when you're in the camera app, you can just swipe to the right or swipe to the left, and it will take you to your gallery basically, which I love. And it was funny. Today I'm testing out an Android phone, and so I was taking pictures to test out the camera, and it was just habit after using Windows Phone for so long. I took the picture and then it took me straight back to the camera, and I kept trying to swipe over to go to the pictures because it really is just kind of one of those instinctive things. After you start using it, it just kind of makes sense. And so that's it again seems like a small thing, but these are really big experience things that Google has added. The notification panel, which I think is some nice improvements here. Android has owned notifications ever since the beginning. Nobody can match it. No one can top it. Apple can steal all they want, but it's still better on Android because, I mean, they're the ones that created it. They know what they're doing. And so now it'll group things together. So like messages, it'll group them together. Emails, it'll group them together, but you can expand them. And so you can see like kind of little small summaries or like the first couple sentences of an email or a message. So you can expand it and see that. You can interact with it, and so if someone called you and it's a missed call, it has the missed call, but also has the button right there to either call them back or send them a message. Just great new features like that. One of the coolest new features is I thought it was kind of funny. Google talked about Google Voice, which I guess is the name for it. I mean, Google Voice has always been there. Voice search is really not something new. I mean, Apple made it huge with Siri, but as of, even today, I can't tell if Siri really is that big of a deal or if they just made it a big deal. I still can't tell. But anyway, regardless, Google talked about Google Voice a little bit more, and they kind of have made some big improvements, and so it kind of is more like an assistant, sort of, kind of like a Siri or S Voice. So there's not a whole lot of differences in terms of what it does. It basically does what those other software features do. But I thought one of the most surprising things was how fast it was. If you use the Nexus 7 or if you're using the Galaxy Nexus with Android 4.1, it is really fast. And that's kind of one of those things like with S Voice and even Siri. I always remember thinking like it kind of just takes a long time, and obviously it kind of depends on your internet connection, I guess, if if you're on 3G or 4G or Wi-Fi, but even then it just kind of seemed like it took a while for it to listen, to comprehend, and then to think about and come up with the answer. But it wasn't like a big deal because I was like, well, that's just the way it is. I mean, it just has to think. But if you use the Nexus 7, if you use Android 4.1, Google Voice is really fast. I mean, you say something and it thinks for like, I don't know, a second or 2 seconds, and then it's right there. And that to me, I think makes it like 100 times more useful. I still don't know if I would use it. And I was thinking about, I was watching different demos of Google Voice. And one of the things that people always ask it is, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? Or what's the weather like? Or, some weather question. And it seems like really useful, but when you think about it, like, okay, if I'm on Android or even iOS, I have a freaking weather widget, okay? I can just look at the weather widget. I mean, granted, not everyone has a weather widget, but between the weather widget or using a voice thing, it's so much faster to have a widget. Of course, if you're on iOS, I guess, unless you have the widget in the notification panel, I guess it's not really an option, but I just thought it was kind of funny. I was like, why wouldn't I just have a widget for this? But that's not the point. The point is that it's there and it works and it's very fast. And that to me, I think, is a big thing. The fact that it really is quick. Like, I mean, you just have to see it. You have to use it. It's fast. I'm not going to say that a million times, then it would just be redundant. So we're just going to move on. Google Now. And I actually, whenever they were talking about Google Now and Google Voice and people were talking about it, I actually kind of got like mixed up and confused with what exactly each thing is. Google Voice is voice. You use, in the... Do I have a thing? Yeah, I do. So, in the search bar, go away, notifications... So you have the microphone in the search bar. And so that's how you get to Google Voice. It's still the same method. Nothing has changed. There's not a button or anything. It's still just a search bar, and you use the microphone in the search bar. Google Now is something different. Google Now is not related to Google Voice. Google Now is you tap the home button and drag it up. So you tap and drag it up, and it brings up a page of cards. And the cards have information based on things that you do. For example, based on your calendar, based on previous searches, based on events that you have coming up, based on where you're at, your location. So, for example, whenever you pull up Google Now, Google can read your calendar and it can see that you have an appointment today for a meeting or whatever it is. So Google Now, it will have a card telling you when you need to leave, giving you directions to the location, how long it will take you to get there. It'll have cards based on the information. You don't have to ask it. You don't have to tell it. You don't have to input any information. It reads it from your calendar and then it has it there. And this is all stuff that it knows is important to you because it's things that you look at. So another example is your favorite sports team. So if you look at a lot of news based on a certain sports team, or if you do a lot of searches for a certain sports team, whenever you open Google Now, it will automatically give you scores from that team. And, it seems kind of simple, but the coolest thing is just that you don't have to do anything to make it tell you all this stuff. Like, you don't have to tell it, my favorite team is the Dallas Mavericks, or I have an appointment. It does it on its own, and I think that's what makes it so much more useful, is that it's just there. I mean, it knows. And it's kind of creepy, but, that's Google. Google knows everything because it's Google search. So that's Google Now. I think it's going to be really cool. I think it is going to be very useful. It remains to be seen if it actually is. That's kind of one of those things that we're just going to have to try. We're just going to have to use it, and that I think you're going to have to use for a couple of weeks before you actually see, because it's going to take a while to compile the data, see what you're searching through. Another example is location. So if you go to a restaurant, it will know where you're at. It'll know what restaurant you're at. So whenever you open Google Now, it'll maybe show you the menu for that restaurant, or it'll show you, I don't know, maybe like Groupon deals for that restaurant. That was just my idea that I came up with just now. Actually, that'd be pretty cool if it did. But so location-based things as well. Just some really cool features like that with Android 4.1. Magazines is now in Google Play. Smart updates means that you only have to download parts of an application APK rather than the entire APK. And the Nexus 7, like I said, here's one of the questions that I had about the Nexus 7. How is it so freaking cheap? And I want to talk about this because it's like one of those things. I mean, you're almost afraid to ask because you don't want to know. You don't really want to know because you want to just think that it's an amazing tablet for $200. Like, I'm literally stealing this from Google. That's because it feels good. But, we have to ask, how is the Nexus 7 so cheap? I mean, does it really have a quad-core processor? I mean, what are they trying to trick us with here? Because it seems like it's too good to be true. So I looked into this and how it's so cheap, and it's really not anything bad. I mean, you'd be surprised. First of all, you think about the hardware. It's not the most amazing hardware. It's got a 7-inch display, which is pretty small. And that's not just because of whatever. I mean, you actually save money having less screen size. That's less that you have to buy. So, small display. The hardware is, basically plastic and, rubber, pretty much. It's not anything amazing. Think about the iPad, the Transformer Prime, some other tablets by Asus. You think about those tablets, they're metal, they're solid, they've got a good feel to them. You think about the Microsoft Surface, it's metal, really nice designs, and that's, a lot of that is also the price. Plastic is cheap, and so you think about the Nexus 7, it's not metal. I mean, it doesn't have some revolutionary, amazing design. That was kind of the same thing with, going back to the Kindle Fire, is that it's a pretty mundane design, and it's extremely thick and heavy too. So they definitely cut costs on that, and the Nexus 7, the same thing, small display and kind of cheap build quality. Also, the quad-core processor is not extremely new and Tegra 3. It's still kind of new, but at the same time, it's sort of been around now for just a little bit. And Google is actually using the cheaper version of the quad-core of this Tegra 3. So it's still a quad-core processor, but it's just kind of the cheaper version of it. So they save money on that. And then you think about the memory, you're only getting 8 gigabytes or 16 gigabytes. Still 16 gigs for $250, not a bad price, but 8 gigs for a lot of people, that's not a lot. And you do have cloud storage, which is what Google is betting on that you're going to use as a cloud storage, because 8 gigs isn't really that much, and there's no expandable memory. So there's no SD card slot. You can't expand it anyway. So again, saving money there with memory. The camera, there's no rear-facing camera, front-facing camera only, and it's a 1.2 megapixel camera, so it's not like, it's a really cheap, we've had 1 megapixel cameras since 2004, so it's really not that big of a deal. So you can kind of see just little by little kind of trimming down here, small display, it's an HD display, but it's not super AMOLED or anything like that. Just and really nothing major. You're still getting an HD display. Who cares if it's not super AMOLED? The hardware, it's made out of plastic, but it still looks good. It's really thin. It's not major cutbacks that Google has made, but just kind of trimming off a little bit here and there. Not that much memory, cheaper version of the processor, plastic materials, and they just managed to get it down to $200. The good news is that you're not really losing anything. So, this is all stuff that Google did, but it's not like they cut out some major feature. They cut out this and cut out that. It's just a little bit, and really, you're not even going to notice it. But I think the biggest reason why it is so cheap is, part of it is because they can, but also a lot of it is because they want to. You think about, this is the Google tablet, and the Nexus devices, they set the stage, they set the standard for all the other phones. We've said before, the Nexus phone is the reference phone. This is what it's supposed to be like. This is what we want you to do, create this experience, use similar hardware, all that. And so Google kind of has to set an example with the Nexus tablet, but also kind of set the stage, get people interested in tablets, because Acer, Asus, Motorola, Samsung, they're really trying, but they're kind of like the little brothers, really, and Google is the top dog, and it's really their responsibility to make people interested in tablets. So for Google, it's not so much about making money. In fact, it's probably not about making money at all. Google, they've said, we don't really make our money off of Android. We make our money off of search. They make some money off of Android, but really like 80% of their revenue comes from ads and search and all that. So for them, it's not about making money. They want the Nexus 7 to be cheap. That way people will begin to be interested in Android tablets. And then maybe later on down the road, they'll buy other tablets that are maybe more expensive. So that's kind of Google's thought there. But that's how they made it so cheap. So kind of interesting. Again, like I said, you're not really missing out on too much. They didn't make too many cutbacks. Easily the best, inexpensive, budget-friendly tablet. And once you consider the price, depending on what's most important to you, it might be the best tablet on the market. Now, obviously, you have other tablets like the Transformer Prime and the iPad. Those tablets may be better, but if you take everything into consideration and look at it from a certain point of view, it may be the best option. That's a good way to say it. Maybe not the best tablet, but maybe the best option once you consider everything. The second thing about Android 4.1 is that it will not support Flash, which we kind of saw coming. Not really surprising, but kind of sad. That was one of those things that Android users always held over the heads of iOS users. We have Flash, and in some ways it was kind of nice because you get you go to YouTube and you just watch a video. You don't have to worry about anything really. Pretty much any video anywhere you can watch on your phone or your tablet. Then again, with that, it brought ads, and you could turn off those plugins, but that was kind of the counterclaim that a lot of iOS people, so I can't see Flash ads, oh darn. So now there's no battle. It doesn't matter. Android 4.1 does not support Flash. So if you have Flash Player installed now, you will continue to get updates for as long as they put them out. However, after August 15th, you will not be able to install it. So if you want to keep Flash, install it before August 15th, because after that you won't be able to. However, even then, Adobe suggests that you uninstall. Once you upgrade to 4.1, they suggest you uninstall it because it's not going to perform right. We've heard reports of people running Android 4.1 and they say it's fine, they don't have a whole lot of problems. But Adobe says that I guess you're supposed to have problems, or eventually you will have problems. So. But definitely cool, and I'm looking forward to, getting some Android 4.1 on, any Android phone. That's one of the nice things about, the job that I have is you have so many phones that one of them is bound to get an update. It's like I know you guys probably have one phone and you're just waiting for it to get an update. You have a couple, I'm like, well, one of these is bound to get the update sooner or later. Surely I'll get it. So hopefully I'll be able to do that, or maybe I'll get a leaked version and be able to run that. Nexus Q. We didn't really talk about Nexus Q. It's kind of a, it's this little circle box thing, and it uses, I believe, NFC and Bluetooth, and it's like a social streaming device. And so any Android user that's connected to your Wi-Fi network can connect to it, and you can create if you're at a party, you can create a song playlist, and people can access that playlist and add songs or move songs around. Or you can use it if it's connected to a TV. Anyone can use the Nexus Q to play a video on the TV. It's like a social, like they said, a social streaming device. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Google Glass, they also talked about Google Glass. Project Glass. I have some strong opinions about this one, and I was tweeting about it, and I think people kind of got upset because I was so, I don't know what that, I think it's stupid. No, let me rephrase that. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. I love the whole augmented reality thing of, you just look and you can see directions, or you can see the map, or you can see the message when someone texts you, or that's like your camera. You just look and then blink to take a picture. I think that's a pretty cool idea, and the problem is that you have to find a way to do that that doesn't look completely ridiculous. Google did not find that way. So the people got on stage, and it was almost like Google was trying to show how cool these glasses looked because they made everyone wear them. Every presenter wore the glasses the whole time. Like they wasn't just like, see, they look good. They wore them the whole time. And it was an attempt to be like, see, they look totally normal. This is totally normal. When in reality, it looked ridiculous. It looked dumb. And I was like, Google, you're just making it worse. It's like a constant reminder of how ridiculous this looks. I love the idea. I think it's a great idea, but it looks ridiculous. And not to mention the fact that they cost $1,500, which is a lot of money, and I don't think anyone's going to be buying. Well, I mean, somebody will buy it, but it's a little too pricey to make it mainstream. Obviously, right now, it's not meant to be mainstream. It's one of those prototype, looking into the future type things. But and then again, while I do love the idea, I don't think Google really showed off anything that really made me think like, oh yeah, you know what? I would love to do that. I want to get Google Glasses in order to have those features. They didn't really, I mean, a lot of what they talked about was like pictures. You can take pictures with it, or you can film video with it. And I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I gotta wear those stupid glasses, and it's just not worth it. I mean, it's just the return is just not worth it. So I thought the demos that they showed didn't really show off the strengths. That video that Google released of Project Glass, that really showed its strengths, and I don't think they kind of showed that off during the demos. So Project Glass, if you pre-order it now, it won't begin shipping out until early next year. So, will they have more, will they be working on it? Will they have more features? Will they make it look different, hopefully? I don't know, but it was kind of just like one of those cool things of like what to expect in the future. Again, I like the idea. I just hope that they make it look better because you gotta see pictures. I mean, they looked terrible. It was like Star Trek. What are those? I should probably ask my husband. He's a Trekkie, but was this Cyborg? The Borg. Somebody that watches Star Trek, tell me what I'm talking about. Captain Picard got turned into one. They're the really white-faced things, and they've got like the red eye and the little arm that comes out in front of their eye. Somebody tell me what that is that I'm thinking about. But it reminded me of that, and it just kind of looked ridiculous. So anyway, that's Google Project Glass. I guess we're still calling it Project Glass. The Borg. It is the Borg. Okay, yay, I know stuff. So it is the Borg. That's what it reminded me of. So anyway, Project Glass. I guess it's not Google Glass yet. It's just Project Glass. RIM is doing really bad. Not doing good. And this kind of sucks because I don't know if it's too early to be talking past tense, but I'm gonna say I had high hopes for RIM, especially after BlackBerry World, and everything that RIM showed off with BlackBerry 10. I know there's the naysayers. There's people say BlackBerry's dead, BlackBerry sucks, and trust me, if you guys watched the 30-day BlackBerry challenge that I did, BlackBerry in its current form sucks. Like, there's some people that like it, but I swear people who love BlackBerry just haven't used anything else because there's no way we're not going to get into that. But BlackBerry 10 has a lot of promise, and it's completely different, but it's still BlackBerry. Like, it's a completely new operating system while still keeping the same principles that made BlackBerry so great. And I was so excited. Torsten Heinz, you just believed in him. You just, you're in the room and he's talking to you, well, not to you, but, he's talking to the press, and you're like, you know what? I believe in this man. I mean, he just had that kind of promise. And so I had high hopes for RIM, but now, they released their Q1 figures. They announced their Q1 figures, and they're not great. They lost money. Revenue is down 33% from the previous quarter. all that's like to be expected. It's like whatever, you're losing money. It's okay because when BlackBerry 10 comes out, that's what we're really waiting for. So all of that wasn't too bad. I was like, oh, it's all right. We expected that. You're going to lose money. The problem is that they've now said that they're not going to launch the first BlackBerry 10 smartphone until sometime during the first quarter of 2013. And I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? I mean, no, you cannot wait that long. And I know Torsten Heinz, he said, we're going to get this right. We're not going to release it early. We're going to wait until it's ready. It's going to be perfect. We are not going to rush it. And I was like, yes, I am down with that. Boom. This man knows what he's doing. But I thought that was going to be, end of 2012. Even then it was pushing it, but I was like, all right, that's okay. Because you want it to be perfect. That's good. But sometime in the first quarter of 2013, quarters, that's 3 months, right? Is that 3 months? I think it's 3 months. So that could be anytime from January to March, maybe, and then maybe, I don't know if they're going to push it back again. So we could be seeing March 2013. We're only in June 2012. People said RIM died a year ago, okay? And it's still going to be another year before we see BlackBerry 10 devices. I understand you want to make it perfect, but come on, chip, chop, chip, get on it, okay? Pedal to the metal. Hire more people. I mean, they're firing people. They're going to fire like 5,000 people. I'm like, no, hire people. Get this wagon moving, okay? You don't have until next year. Maybe they do. Maybe it'll be okay. But I think it is a huge mistake waiting that long. I know it's going to be perfect. I know you want to wait. You don't want to rush it. But you don't want to rush it, but you want to hurry up just a little bit, okay? I mean, you don't want to just completely go slowpoke on this. I mean, it's not like you've never built an operating system before, okay? This is not your first rodeo, RIM. I mean, what are you doing, okay? Android comes out with a new version every freaking 3 months, and you can't build an operating system in less than 2 years? For crying out loud, it's ridiculous. I am upset about this, but that's, there's nothing I can do about it. All of that being said, that was pretty much, my rage is pointless because I have no control. I think that's what makes me so upset, is that I get so mad, and then it makes me even madder because there's nothing I can do. Like, I can't stop Apple from suing everybody. I can't stop Microsoft from being slow. Well, now they've announced Windows Phone 8 with multi-core processors, but I couldn't force them to do that. I can't force Google to whatever it is that I want them to do. But anyway, we'll see, and then we'll know. Hopefully Windows Phone makes some strides, because it's definitely good to have options. Android and iOS, it just shouldn't be that way. 2 options, that's not the way the world runs, and it's just not the way it should be. And so we should have at least 3 options. We really should have 4. Think about how many brands there are of cars, clothes, computers, chairs, everything. There's like a million brands, TVs, and yet with phones we only get 2 choices. No, BlackBerry 10 needs to be here. Think about this. Let me give you an example. Okay, people, they joke about how BlackBerry is dead and forget it, it sucks. No, you need BlackBerry, okay? Even if you don't like BlackBerry, you need BlackBerry, and let me tell you why. Okay, and this is, maybe I'm giving too much credit to Microsoft, but think about this. Android. Now all of a sudden, using this Metro UI in the Play Store and in Android 4.1, you can see it even more, this Metro UI. Totally from Windows Phone. Now, I'm not saying they stole it. I'm not saying that they looked at it and said, hey, we should do that. I don't know if that's what happened. But the fact is that it's a huge coincidence that they just now started using a Metro UI. Another point, the whole thing I was talking about earlier with the camera, how if you're in the camera, you can slide over and see your pictures. That's from Windows Phone. And who knows if Google would have thought of that if Microsoft didn't think of it first. So maybe you don't like Windows Phone, but you sure do like that Metro UI a lot, and you sure do like some of those features that Android is using a lot. Another point, iOS, the notification system, sucked for years. And who knew Who knows if they would have gotten a better notification system if Android didn't have such a great notification system. Probably not, because no one would have anything to compare it to. So maybe you don't like iOS, maybe you don't like Android, maybe you don't like Windows Phone, maybe you don't like BlackBerry, but you need those operating systems. You need Windows Phone, you need BlackBerry, because it forces Android to be better. Android forces iOS to be better. Windows Phone, it's gaining momentum and it is forcing them to be better. So BlackBerry 10, I hope it makes it because we need it. And I'm not saying I'm going to use BlackBerry 10. I'm going to try it, obviously, and I may end up loving it. I mean, that's what happened with Windows Phone. I thought I would hate it, but I ended up loving it. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to try it, but I'm not saying I'm going to use it, but I still know that we need it. So I hope it makes it. And that's my rant for the day. So that's early 2013. We'll have to wait and see. We did see some leaked pictures of BlackBerry 10 devices. We have pictures. I like how I just switch over to from a rant to like being calm without any warning. We did have some leaked pictures of these could be real BlackBerry 10 devices, or they could just be kind of like, renders or reference pictures that RIM is using, but here it is, and so you can see two devices here. The L series, this is talking about the N series. The N series is going to have a physical keyboard. The L series will not have a physical keyboard. It will be all touch. We can kind of see kind of a little bit of the phone and kind of a little bit of the UI. Doesn't really tell us too much, but we do have details, not just this picture. So the L series, all touch, supposedly will have a 1280 by 768 display with a pixel density of 356 pixels per inch, so pretty good. That was rumored to be out as early as September. Obviously, that's not going to happen. The N series will have a physical keyboard and a display with a resolution of 720 by 720, so, because it's a square, and a pixel density of 330 pixels per inch. The screen on this one will be an OLED screen, but some of them will be LCD. I want to see if it's OLED or if they move it up to AMOLED. OLED is nice, but AMOLED is even better, especially considering we've got like Super AMOLED Plus and like HD Super AMOLED Hyper freaking on, I don't know. We've got all these amazing displays. OLED, you might want to like get it up a notch there to at least AMOLED, but anyway. So we'll see those early 2013, which is like forever away, but whatever. That's the news. And so we can move on now to the open Q&A. And so if you have any questions you want to ask about anything, I will be on Facebook. I'm not promising that I will ever look at it because I am extremely absent-minded and I forget about everything. I tweeted about this today. So I go through, on Fridays, I get all the news together to see what I want to talk about. And so I get everything from PhoneDog initially, and then, of course, I follow other tech websites. But anyway, so I was going through the news from the past week, and I saw this article on why current Windows Phone devices will not get Windows Phone 8. And I saw the headline, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a really good article. I should read that. And then I remembered, wait a minute, I wrote that. So I am extremely absent-minded. I forget about things all the time. So no promises that I will actually check Facebook, but I will have the tab open. So there's that. Let's see. Hold on, let me get everything situated. Okay. Will US Cellular get a Windows 8 phone? It won't be Windows 8, it'll be Windows Phone 8. Just a little correction there. But yeah, they will get one. Sydney, will Windows 8 apps work on Windows on 7.5 or 7.8? That's a good question. They did say that Windows Phone 7 apps will work on Windows Phone 8. I can't remember if they clarified it, if it would go the other way. That's a good question. I should look that up. I probably do know, and I just forgot. Um, do you think Apple and Microsoft will be able to compete with the Nexus 7? Well, Apple will be able, I mean, yeah, Apple is, they could make a freaking piece of paper and put an Apple sticker on it and people would buy it, okay? Like, I'm just saying that. But Microsoft, I think the Surface looks great, and I would love to have the Windows RT version just because I enjoy Windows Phone. Will a lot of people want to have it? I don't know. I mean, $200 is a unique price for a tablet. The majority of them are like $500. So will it stay that way? I don't know. I mean, it really just depends on the market. Excuse me. Sydney, why don't you carry on with your It's My Job to Know YouTube channel? I love it. I don't really have anything to post. I don't know what I mean. The only reason I post stuff is like if I get an idea and I make it and it's funny or something. But I just haven't had anything. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you want to see? I don't know. Vlog. Yeah, vlog. I'm not really into the vlog thing. I think they're kind of stupid. Yeah. Like I never watch vlogs, but sometimes I'll watch a vlog like once a month or once every 2 months. I'll watch somebody's vlog and I'm like, this is dumb. Okay, this is really stupid. Because it's like, I don't care. I don't care what you did with your life. Why does anybody care that whatever, he went to Walmart and saw a chick? I don't know. I mean, who cares? So, my phone keeps making noises. I downloaded, so this is so cool. I showed you guys this last week, but I'm done with it now. I hadn't finished my whole design, but I finished it now. I actually posted it on mycolorscreen.com, and you can see it. If you go to the popular screens, it's there, because people like it. Anyway, so I finished it, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of like it's a lot like Windows Phone, but I mean, hey, I like Windows Phone, so it makes sense. Yeah, but the point of that was I downloaded like a Windows Phone notification thing, and so well, anyway, I don't have to show you because you know what it looks like. So now I have Windows Phone notifications, so it pops down. I can make it go away by swiping it across, or I can tap on it to open the app or whatever it is. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, that's, I don't know. I felt like sharing that with you. You're probably like, oh my god, we don't care. Okay. Sydney, are you disappointed with Windows Phone 8? They only brought features that Android had for years. What would you want to see on Windows Phone 8? No, yeah, I mean, I thought they were great features. There's not really a whole lot that I really want them to add. I mean, the OSs as they are, people talk about, well, I prefer Android because I can do more with it. There's, functionality. It's better than Windows Phone. And I can understand if you don't like the way Windows Phone looks. But there's really nothing, I mean, in terms of functionality, they all do the same thing. I mean, they all have apps. They all have a web browser. They all have, whatever, weather, notifications, email. I mean, there's really nothing I can do on an Android phone that I can't do on a Windows phone. It just depends on which one you like more in terms of, function, or in terms of, design. So, yeah, I mean, what would I like them to add? I don't know, but I can't think of anything I want them to add to Android either. So, whatever they add is pretty much just a bonus because it's something that I didn't think of. So, like Google Now, I never would have thought of that, but I think it's great. It's awesome. Like, oh yeah, I would love to have something like that. Like Local Scout. Never would have thought of that, but it's like, oh yeah, that's an awesome feature. So I don't know what I would want anyone to add, but I thought it was a great update. I mean, they added everything they needed to, multi-core processors, HD displays. Actually, I can't remember everything because that was so long ago, but yeah, I don't think I was disappointed. Sydney, do you ever use the speech controls in your Windows Phone device? No. I probably, yeah, I never use it on Android either, and I have a Galaxy Note, and should I get the Nexus 7, or will it be pointless as it is not that much larger? Oh yeah, good point. That's a good point. You know what, probably not, because a Galaxy Note should get Android 4.1, and you're going to get all those features anyway, so no, I wouldn't bother. Do you think Android has an advantage over iOS without Flash? Well, like I said, I mean, again, going back to what I just said, they all do the same thing. I think Android, I love widgets, and so I think that's a very useful feature. So for me personally, Android is better because it has widgets. If you don't like widgets, maybe you like a very simple boom icons and that's all it is, then iOS is better. So, was Flash ever an advantage? Yeah, but I never really thought it was a big one. So, no, I mean, I don't really think it makes any difference. Should I get the iPhone 5 when it comes out? Sure. Yeah, sure. I don't know. When Microsoft announces Windows Phone 9, Windows Phone 8 devices won't get the update, just like when Windows Mobile didn't get Windows Phone 7, the HD2 had the same specs as the HD7. Yeah, I can imagine the difference, though, was that Windows Phone 7 was a completely new operating system, so that would be like asking Microsoft to send an Android update to the HD2. Like, wouldn't really make sense. Windows Phone 8, again, they completely changed the kernel, and so now everything is shared with Windows 8. I can't see that happening again, so I don't think that will happen with Windows Phone 9. We'll have to wait and see. Sydney, has Google helped the fragmentation with Jelly Bean 4.1? The fragmentation, it's not so much how many updates they release. It is that because there's a new update, like, seriously every 3 months, and it gets frustrating, and I'm sure it's difficult for manufacturers to keep up. It's not so much that, it's just that Google needs to freaking put its foot down and say, look, this is the update, send it to your freaking phones. I don't care if you don't want to or if you don't think it can. Do it. That's what Google needs to do. And I get it, it's on the carriers, it's on the manufacturers, but in the end, it's on Google. Google needs to make them send out the freaking update. So will Jelly Bean help or hurt? It wouldn't matter because it's all up to Google. Do you think it's worth upgrading from the Kindle Fire to Nexus 7 and sell the Fire on eBay? I can't imagine you would get very much for the Fire, but, if you get $100, that means the Nexus 7 is only $100. If you get $50, that means the Nexus 7 is only $150, which is a pretty awesome price. So, yeah, sure, I mean, I would see how much you can get for it. Please don't talk about sports, please. Well, don't ask me about sports, and I won't talk about it, okay? I answer your questions. If you ask me about sports, I will talk about it, okay? Do you still have a Windows Phone? Yes, I do, but it's a long story. I still have it, but I don't use it because it's a long story. I wish I'd still used it. Okay, Sydney, I know what's after key lime pie, licorice or ladyfingers, okay? I am so mad I missed the part about the Nexus 7. I already pre-ordered it too. Now I have to wait till it's on YouTube. That's okay. It's selling for $100 to $150. Dude, shoot, I should sell my Kindle Fire and get a Nexus 7. Talk about sports. No, you have to ask me a question, okay? I answer your question. Sydney, who's LeBron James? What's basketball? Don't get me started, okay? Do you like LeBron James? I mean, no, but I respect him for what he did in the finals. I thought it was ridiculous that people said he's the greatest player of all time, even though he chokes. I thought that was stupid. I didn't like his attitude. He's a punk. But in the finals, he really just kept his mouth shut and played, and he showed up. And so I respect him for that. How's your team going? Well, I mean, we won't know until Sunday. So right now, nothing matters. I mean, the team right now, it's like, yeah, it sucks, but this isn't the team they're going to have. So, yeah, we'll know, by next week. And then, God, I hope the thing is Darren Williams. That's what everyone's talking about. I hope he signs. I mean, don't get me started about that. I could go on about that forever. What'd you think about the drafts? I was so happy when Tyler Zeller fell to the Mavericks at 17. He was supposed to be a top 10 pick. I was like, yes! But then they traded him, and I was like, what? Are you freaking insane? But whatever. They wanted to clear cap space. They just better make some freaking moves in this offseason. That's all I can say. Okay, no sports. I have to talk about technology. I'm sorry. Sydney, the Nexus 7 has a 4300 milliamp hour battery. Extended batteries for Android phones are 3500 milliamp hour, but we're talking about a tablet. Do you think the battery will suck or be good? Well, Google says you should get 9 hours of battery life, and I'm assuming that's like with constant use. Let me see. Where did I know I have that somewhere. I don't. I guess I deleted it or something. Anyway, Google says you should get 9 hours, which, charge it every night. And so I think that's fine. It's Wi-Fi only, so it should last a long time. And it should last if you pick it up and use it for an hour here and there or 30 minutes here and there. It should last you a couple of days. How long till you put it on YouTube? I usually try to upload the recording of the show on Saturdays. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sydney, you seem to like the Galaxy Nexus. Will you get one to replace your Fire? Yeah, I don't know. It just depends on how things go. Screw technology. Let's talk sports. Or technology in sports. Yeah. I would love to talk about sports with you guys. My husband and I, we talk about sports all day. We talk about basketball all day. I just joined a fantasy football league. I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I watch football and I know how it works. I know the players. I know all of that, but fantasy football, I don't know how that system works. So I'm kind of figuring that out. We named our team the Dark Knights because my husband is a huge Batman fan. The Christopher Nolan versions. So we named them the Dark Knights. It's pretty cool. Yeah. What mobile OS do you think LeBron James uses? I don't know. I don't know. Probably an iPhone, because that's what everyone uses. You could talk about sports on your other channel. I could. Yeah. I don't know. Again, it goes back to, I don't know why anyone would want to listen to me, which I guess you guys just listen to me for an hour, but yeah, I don't know. You should do your own podcast for sports. Yeah, someone mentioned that last week. Sydney, this is the third time you are wearing this top on the show. Well, considering this is episode 58, I'd say that's a pretty good ratio, or percentage, whatever you want to call it. Is it a good idea with 5 manufacturers making a Nexus phone? Isn't everyone already annoyed with Android making so many phones? A Nexus phone, 5 manufacturers. I hadn't heard that. Is that a new rumor? I have to look into that. Galaxy S2 or Galaxy S3? Galaxy S3? Is that? I mean, that's kind of an obvious answer. Sydney, no one listens to you when you're answering questions. Well, that's okay. At least the person that asks, hopefully they listen to it. How many demo phones do you have right now? Well, I have a lot that are in the closet that I'm not, that are from 2 years ago. But ones that I'm actually working on, I have 3 that I'm working with right now. And then I have about 10 or 15 that I'm, that are shelved that I keep for dog fights or something. Oh, when you're not answering. Oh, okay. No one listens when I'm not answering. Oh, okay. Well, okay, that's fine. Anyway, Facebook. I told you I was going to forget about you. Let me do a quick check of Facebook, and then I gotta go. Do you have an official release date of 4.1 for the Galaxy Nexus? No, I know a leaked version is available now, but I don't know about the official version. Sydney, I was wondering, since that there are phones with quad-core processors, do you think that the Samsung flagship phone Galaxy S3 will stay on top, and I heard that there was an HTC One XXL coming out that might be that Zeta. Is it true? That was a really long question. Do you think I would stay on top of, like, the best phone on the market? Well, the international version has a quad-core processor, so yeah, that one definitely. US version has a dual-core processor. There's a lot that goes into it. I mean, I would have to compare those other phones, and then I would decide. Yeah, the HTC One XXL and the Zeta. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. Okay, so that's it. Those are the questions. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for watching. And if you missed anything, I will again be posting it on YouTube, so you can watch the recording of that. But keep it on Phone Dog for more news, updates, and reviews. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, if I missed a question, you can at phonedog_Sydney. But I will see you guys next week, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on ustream.tv/phonedog. But that's it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.